Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the info session on the Horizon Results Booster. My name is Katrina Barkane. I work at the Knowledge and Data Management Service at the Directorate General for Research and Innovation, and I would like to give you the official welcome from the side of the European Commission to all of the participants with us online and also the speakers that are here for this webinar today. Thanks a lot for being here with us. Today we will take the time to look at the important role as well as the exciting opportunity that the Horizon Results Booster plays in ensuring that our cherished research and innovation results are shared, used, and actually bring this strong and positive societal impact. To quickly highlight, perhaps before we go on, that these services that we will be covering here today are available free of charge to past and present, so the current beneficiaries of the Research Innovation Framework programs. That being said, the information that we will share here today, as well as the stories and testimonials, can be of interest to those beyond that are actively looking as well for this expert advice, but perhaps are looking for some inspiration or some quick pointers on what to do, where to go when it comes to impact creation. And overall, as well, better understanding about when is the best time to put into action this plan for dissemination and exploitation, or rather sharing and using the research results. I mean, spoiler alert, it's better to do it as early as possible and as late as still feasible. And as you may have seen from the agenda online, we have quite a few speakers here with us today. And this gives us an opportunity to hear this story about the Horizon Results Booster from different angles, both the theory of what's on offer, what are the services that we have available, and also what is actually the practice. So what are the stories of those who have already benefited from these services, and what has been their journey and their experience. So with this in mind, and before we dig into the adventures of the Horizon Results Booster, I'd like to take just a brief moment to focus and to perhaps recap a little bit on why we are here, why we are even here today, and why do we have this specific set of services available. And this is, of course, linked to the fact that every year, researchers and research funded by the European Union produces a substantial amount of research results. And for these results to benefit society, the idea is, of course, not to hide them away, but to rather make them available to those that can use them, to those that can benefit from the knowledge, as well as then subsequently, of course, to actually use them to generate further impact. And then, while it, of course, remains very important to consider and plan for dissemination exploitation as early on, the nitty-gritty job takes place once the project has already advanced a bit, and then when we have to start having these first results, which is why we have the focus here on results. And this focus can have different angles, different perspectives. It can be targeted, for example, at research communities. We can be looking at industry innovators, member states, EU policymakers, civic society, as well as the citizens. And examples of these results are both, it can be tangible or intangible. So we're talking, can be starting from roadmaps and policy recommendations to reports, platforms, skills, materials, prototypes, software, codes of conduct, data, etc. And here it's really quite key that we have dissemination and exploitation for several things. I mean, to actually diffuse the knowledge, then to increase the uptake, and of course as well to then demonstrate the generated impact of the EU-funded projects. So with this in mind, it's of course it's important to have this solid support ecosystem that can facilitate this sharing and caring and the use of the research results. And speaking of caring, why do we care about this? Well, essentially because it's more than just using the research results, it's more than just a tick box. In the grand scheme of things, if we're considering this, better dissemination and exploitation really has a higher return of investment, including it can have impact on policy making that is informed by this strong evidence and scientific knowledge. It can also help for more effective circulation of knowledge, increasing innovation potential, and then with that also we can be looking at creating new markets, creating new opportunities, and then last but not least, and quite perhaps more simply put, dissemination and exploitation are the two key elements that ensure that we don't just do research for the sake of research, but we do it for the society, to create societal benefits and to ensure that research brings impact, a positive impact for everyone, including those, of course, who pour their hearts and souls into the project, so the researchers themselves and the beneficiaries of these projects. So what does dissemination exploitation bring for them? There are plenty of advantages, of course, including those that were mentioned before, but also using these results has, let's say, on organizational or perhaps even individual level, it can attract new talent to join the team. It can lift the visibility and recognition, reputation of the researcher or the research organization. And then, of course, it also can provide collaboration opportunities, networking opportunities, access to collaboration or funding. And of course, if, for example, for a commercial exploitation, then we're also talking about potential additional income that can be created. And as mentioned here, I mean, it's important to have this solid support ecosystem. And with this in mind, the European Commission actually designed and is implementing what is known as the dissemination exploitation strategy. And this is something to support our beneficiaries in taking their results a step further, for be it market uptake, be it wider scientific use, be it for policy making, and so forth. There are several facets for this strategy, and you're welcome to consult it actually on the webpage for dissemination exploitation. This is just to mention that the service that we will see here today, Horizon Results Booster, fits right into the offer that we have for the free of charge and tailor-made capacity building activities. And in addition to the capacity building activities, of course, just to recap that guidance is always available in all the right places, including online manual, program guide, websites, as well as other types of guides with more specific topics, such as the intellectual property management, for example. And of course, we also have info sessions and webinars like this one here today, so thanks for joining. So feel free to browse this around. The presentation is also available on the event page, so you could, all the links are there, so you can have a look at it at your pace later on. And then for the support services, keyword really being support. In addition to guidance, so what else do we have as these support measures? Well, we have several tools, we have services, we have opportunities. The list here, what you see, is not really exhaustive. I mean, we will focus here today mainly on the Horizon Results Booster, but just for you to know that we also have other initiatives in the dissemination exploitation ecosystem that are also helping to boost the impact and the use of the research results. So we have, for example, the Horizon Results platform as well, which also frequently hosts, for example, pitching events that can be quite useful to connect to the right opportunities at the right time. And this one as well, I mean, I invite you to just have a look later on at your own pace to see if something can spark your interest, or if, for example, you want to have more information on what is happening with EU-funded projects from the very first framework program until Horizon Europe. You can see that quite easily on the Horizon dashboard as well. So it can be quite an interesting read. And then after this rather long, short intro, it brings us to the initiative of the hour, which is the Horizon Results Booster. So this will be covered in a lot more details in just a few moments, but just to quickly mention here also from the Commission side that Horizon Results Booster is not just a platform or, you know, like a web page where you can see, okay, this is fun to have, but it's rather, I mean, this is really tailor-made and free of charge set of services that is offered by the European Commission to the framework program beneficiaries. It's not a grant. There's no money or payments between the Commission and the beneficiary, but it's rather the service that is provided. So you can get this advice, you can get guidance, you can have this extra set of eyes with the expertise on where to go further, where to go when it comes to either improving your exploitation potential, where to go if you're really set on going to market and you need a business plan developed, etc. So it's really can widen your access to the market, to policy, to society, depending on the specific needs, of course, of the project that you would have. So there are several different services that you will see later on, and today we will hear what is theoretically possible. So what are the services, what it is that is on offer, and how this looks in practice. So we will have some projects that will provide these wonderful testimonials on their journey, how it went for them to benefit from the services, what's the added value that was brought to them, and how this looked a little bit in the practice. So stay tuned for that in just a moment. And now that we know very well why we're here, last but not least, let's do a little bit of a recap on how we're going to be going about the interactions during this session. So we're, of course, very happy to receive your questions. And for this, we have open Slido session. You can access it by scanning the QR code, or you can also just enter slido.com and enter the hashtag. We invite you to ask the questions at any point throughout these presentations. And we would also like to invite you to have a look if in case there has been also a question that has been asked before, and you're welcome to upvote it in case it could also be interesting for you. This way, at the time when we get to the Q&A, we will be going from the highest ranked to one by one throughout the questions. So, and in case also a question is aimed at a particular speaker, please feel free to mention that as well in the question so that we know to whom it should be addressed so that we can better provide the answers as well. So now that we have covered a little bit also of this housekeeping, it's my pleasure to give the floor to our keynote speaker and moderator of the hour, Alessia Melaseke, who manages the implementation of the Horizon Results Booster. Thank you all, and Alessia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Katrina. Good morning. I'm very pleased to be here with you all. My name is Alessia, and I'm the Horizon Results Booster Manager. So let me share my screen. Here we are. So the Horizon Results Booster Initiative, as it has been presented by Katrina, is a European Commission DG/RTD initiative, but it is run by a consortium, and you have all the partners here in the screen. I'm from Meta Group. Katrina already highlighted that. Please join at Slido and ask your questions. You will receive written answers, but as well, if you rank them, you will have live answers at the very end of the event. Let's go straight to the point. Why we are all here? We are all here because we know very well that transforming project results into concrete benefits for the society is a must. And this could have various ways, and the achievement of that passes through a successful implementation of dissemination and exploitation activities. A lot of benefits will come then back to the implementers. So successful dissemination and exploitation activities pave the way to various tangible benefits for you. International and interdisciplinary collaboration opportunities. You can contribute to societal goals, attracting new talents to your teams, improving access to different funding opportunities, generating new sources of income, and impacting on policies. This is why the Commission decided to launch the Horizon Results Booster Initiative, which aims to maximize the impact of projects funded under FP7, H2020, and Horizon Europe. Projects, as Katrina already introduced, can be closed or ongoing. And they can as well be indirectly funded by initiatives like the EIT, Knowledge and Innovation Communities, joint undertakings, and similar. Of course, if you have any doubt that your project can benefit from the HRB support, just drop us an email and you will have the functional mailbox later in the slide. So HRB services are delivered to eligible projects 100% free of charge because they are fully supported by the European Commission. Each eligible project can request all the services once. Services can be requested by applicants a la carte when filling the application form online. And once the applications are approved and the service delivery can start, we provide tools and methodologies and a team of experts that will support your journey. And experts will act as facilitators and will guide you. All the services are delivered remotely and virtually. But which are the services? So, first of all, we have Service 1, Portfolio Dissemination and Exploitation Strategy, which is subdivided in 3 modules, A, B, and C. Modules A and B are related to dissemination services, while Module C is related to exploitation. Then we have Service 2, Business Plan Development, and Service 3, Go-to-Market Services. You will hear more about the HRB services, more and for sure more details, and as well testimonial experiences later on. But just let me tell you that for the different services, we are going to appoint a different service team, and therefore it can happen that services can be run in parallel. This will be up to you to decide the timing and if services are going to be delivered one after the other, or some of them could be delivered in parallel. But this will be explained even more later on. Why should projects benefit from the HRB services? It has been already said. I mean, achieving an impact is a must. Long-term sustainability is another good point, but let me tell you that our experiences, which come directly from the delivery, is that very often there is a wrong identification of key exploitable results. There is very often confusion in between customers and users, partners, use models not correctly identified. So it's important to dedicate the right effort and time to exploitation and the uptake of research results, and to avoid to have wrong basics, because otherwise they can generate then wrong strategies. How can projects apply? Application is public and open to anyone eligible, and there is a very nice request services button on our website. You can fill in the application form directly online. A very important information for you. It is possible to apply to the currently available Horizon Results Booster services until the 7th of May 2024, while the service implementation will be completed by the 7th of November 2024. Beneficiaries need first to register in the HRB platform to submit the application. To register in the platform, you just need to provide your email, name, surname, and organization, of course, and then you need to confirm when you receive the first notification from the platform. Then to submit your application, you need to provide the project ID, grant agreement number, if you are directly funded by any one of the mentioned framework programs. Otherwise, if you are coming from an EIT or a joint undertaking type of funding, there is a parallel path for you. Name and email of the applicant, name and email of the project coordinator, name and email of the PO. If the project is closed, you can check in the Commission portal, which was the name and email of the PO that followed you at the time. Applicants are getting 4 notifications from the HRB platform: when they register, when an application is successfully submitted, when the application is approved or rejected with a comment, and when the service delivery team is approved by the Commission. Applicants are requested to upload the DOA or similar documents and other documents depending on the requested service. please, please, please bear in mind that whatever is uploaded in the Horizon Results Booster platform or shared with the expert is, of course, 100% considered confidential, and it stays within the platform and the people which are dedicated to the service delivery. During the service delivery, the applicant will decide if involving other colleagues, partners, other relevant stakeholders in the service delivery. But it will be always a decision of the applicant whom will be involved. Application can be saved in draft in the platform, and then you can continue filling them in the moment in which you feel ready, and any case before submitting. Please remind to push the submit button at the very end, otherwise the application is not fully submitted and you are not going to receive the notification for that. When you fill the application form, alerts are going to pop up to check if you are ready for the requested service. You won't be in any case prevented to submit your application, but please bear in mind that if certain documents are requested in the application phase and you do not submit them, then the colleagues from the management team will come back to you and request them. What happens after the submission? The eligibility of the application is verified directly by the HRB team on the European Commission side. Experts are proposed by the contractor, by us, and accepted, rejected by the Commission team. The expert organizes always an introductory preliminary call with the beneficiaries to define the service delivery plan. If experts realize that projects are not ready for a specific service, they can propose an earlier or a later service, and this then needs to be agreed, of course. It will be communicated to the management team, agreed with the Commission, and the new service can be introduced. At the end of each service, you will be requested to leave your feedback, and there is a feedback questionnaire very easily reachable directly from the HRB platform. Outputs, deliverables, and final reports of the service are saved in the platform, because when an assignment is approved, a dedicated workspace is created for the service delivery. Automatic email alerts are sent out when the final report is uploaded, and in that case, an email alert goes as well to the Commission and to the PO. The final report is the only document which is then shared with the Commission as well. What happens during the service delivery? I mean, as I said at the beginning, experts act as facilitators to guide you throughout a process, which could be a dissemination, an exploitation, or a go-to-market process. So therefore, your collaboration is absolutely needed. Please remember that appointed experts are not going to substitute you in the work that you have to do when running your project. So we try to have a rough estimation of the time commitment that you should, on average, of course, you should consider when service delivery starts. So for the Service 1 Module A, the very first service which addresses dissemination, it's around one equivalent working day, so around 8 hours spread on multiple days. For the Service 1 Module B, which is the second service addressing dissemination service, it's from 2 to 4 equivalent working days, depending on the training packages that are selected during the service delivery. As I said, you will know all the details in a few minutes. Service 1 Module C, BPD and go-to-market services, it's arranging between 3 to 10 equivalent working days, depending on the level of maturity of the project and the level of details that you as well can provide, and the type of interaction that you can start with the service team. Time commitment, of course, for ongoing projects can be reported, of course, in project timesheets. Some numbers for you. Currently, we have actively involved 213 experts, which are covering different domains and topics, because as you know, HRB is sector agnostic, and therefore it covers all the different topics, from hard science to social sciences and humanities, and whatever you can think in between. We have currently on board 1,100 and beyond projects. More than 1,300 assignments have been already requested, out of which half of that have been already completed, more than 3,000 beneficiaries, and almost 8,000 organizations. Which type of funding schemes we support? This is just to give you an idea. So, of course, we are not surprised to see that research and innovation actions are the majority of them. Then we have the innovation action and the coordination and support actions. But you can see in the slides that we support as well ERC, ERANET, we support Marie Curie, SME Instrument, now the new EIC transition, Pathfinder and transition, and you have on top of the bar and other 75. Those are projects coming from a different funding. So the ones I was mentioning, referring to the EIT Knowledge Innovation Communities, and the ones funded by the joint undertakings. So this is it on my side. I'm now very pleased to give the floor to the first expert that we are hearing today. She's Sofia Finzi from ICONS, one of the partners of the HRB consortium. She will be introducing us the two first services, the dissemination related one, so the module A and module B, and she will interact as well with our first testimonial. So Sofia, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alessia. I am now sharing my screen. Okay, as Alessia has already said, my name is Sofia Finzi. I'm representing ICONS, and I'm happy to be here today to present you the Service 1, Module A and B of the Horizon Results Booster. So I'm going to start by presenting you what is the value of the Horizon Results Booster Service 1, Module A and B for your projects. And then I'm going to explain a little more into details, both Module A, which is focused on the identification and creation of a portfolio of research and innovation project results. And then on Module B, which is focused on the portfolio dissemination plan, design and execution. And finally, we are going to have a Q&A session with our testimonial, Andreas Kiesel. What is the value added of the Horizon Results Booster? Why should you apply for Service 1, Module A and B? First of all, because it allows you to go beyond your description of action and to get inspired and exchange solutions and ideas with projects that are working on similar topics and issues as your project. This will allow you to push further the sustainability of your results. Then you will gain support from experts that will also give an additional push to your dissemination activities by helping you carrying out joint dissemination activities with sister projects, so through clustering activities. And you will also have the opportunity to reach out towards additional stakeholders, thus pushing further the impact and the outreach and the engagement of your project and its results through the collaboration with your sister projects. Then you will bring together results of different initiatives, of different projects who are operating in the same field. And this will happen by creating a portfolio of results, which will allow you to have an overview both on results that are complementary to your projects, but also those that are alternative. Then you will get the opportunity to be supported in the organization of joint dissemination activities with your sister projects, both online and offline, thus effectively showcasing the project group's outcomes and results. And finally, you will meet the needs of the Commission by carrying out clustering activities and joint dissemination activities, thus boosting the outreach and the engagement of your results toward your enablers. How will this be happening? Module A and B in a nutshell. So as Alessia already anticipated, all types of EC-funded projects, FP7, Horizon 2020, and Horizon Europe can apply, both ongoing and also completed projects. You have time until 7th of May 2024 to apply for the service and until November to complete them. And what type of support you will get? You will get support and guidance from selected experts for the production and to carry out joint dissemination activities, and also in the production of tangible dissemination materials. More details will be given in the following slides. And this will happen through the provision of two complementary modules, so Module A and B. And as Alessia already said, these services are provided by two partners within the Horizon Results Booster Consortium, ICONS and Trust IT. As I was saying, Module A and B are complementary. So Module A focuses on the identification and creation of research and innovation results portfolio by, first of all, creating a cluster of projects, a project group, where projects are working on a similar topic. Then in Module B, after the baseline for this joint dissemination activity has been set and defined, is focusing on the creation of a portfolio dissemination plan, which will then be jointly executed with your cluster. So these both modules are forming a joint path, which is aiming to, on one side, establish a collaboration among sister projects, but also to consolidate it and to boost your joint dissemination activities, thus having a strong impact on the sustainability of your key exploitable results. Let's get into the details of first Module A. The first and most important activity of this module is the creation of a group of projects. We will be looking for sister projects who are working on a similar topic of the applicant. And then we will be looking for similarities, complementarities among the members of the cluster in terms of both results and stakeholders. Once these results are identified, we will be clustering and grouping them into key exploitable results. And these are results that can be jointly disseminated by the cluster. Secondly, we will be looking for those stakeholders that are relevant to the cluster as a whole, with the aim of prioritizing 1 to 2 key stakeholders, which is most effective to address in your joint dissemination activities to boost the impact of your project's results. We will also provide you with a list of 50 entities under these stakeholders in order to enlarge your contact database for dissemination purposes. And we will also identify relevant tools and channels that you can use to reach out towards these audiences. And finally, you will get recommendations from the experts concerning your joint dissemination actions. These can be either carried out independently by the cluster or together with the Horizon Results Booster expert throughout Module B. And the main deliverable of this service will be the D1.1 Portfolio of Research Innovation Results, which will gather all of the analysis that I mentioned. The service lasts 35 calendar days, and once it is finished, if the projects did not apply yet, we invite the project group to apply for Module B, or if the application has already been carried out by the cluster, we directly continue with Module B. In this case, the effort from the beneficiaries is really minimal, but relevant, in the sense that the more the projects participate and give information to the experts, the more effective will be our support. So you will be asked to complete a short questionnaire, and the experts will be using this information as a basis for the report and also for giving you outputs for your future dissemination activities. And you will be participating in two calls, a first introductory call and then a convergence call with all projects in the project group to validate the most important analysis that will have been carried out by the experts. So once module A is completed, the project group can continue with module B, which is about the design and execution of a portfolio dissemination plan. So first of all, based on the analysis carried out in module A, the cluster will co-design and execute a joint dissemination plan. As part of the service, the Horizon Results Booster expert will provide also a common visual and written identity for the cluster, which is aimed at strengthening your identity towards your stakeholders. And within this joint identity, the experts will be also creating a joint video and fact sheet that the cluster will be able to use right away for its joint dissemination activities. The service then includes also an offer of capacity building courses, which are aimed at improving your dissemination skill sets, and more details will be given in the following slides. And finally, as one of the most important activities within Module B, the cluster will be supported in the delivery of up to 2 joint dissemination activities. So the cluster will be invited to choose among a set of dissemination expert packages. For example, you can decide to carry out a joint event or webinar, write a joint policy brief, carry out a joint social media campaign, or other options that we will see together. The final deliverable of the service will be the D1.2 Portfolio Dissemination Plan, which is a document which can be also updated in the future independently by the cluster when you will continue your joint dissemination activities, also when the service delivery is concluded. So it is really important that the project group actively contributes to carry out the joint dissemination activities and also provides feedback to the dissemination outputs that the Horizon Results Booster experts will provide. This service is longer than Module A. It lasts 120 calendar days. And once the module is concluded, we strongly invite and hope that the cluster will continue its collaboration also in the future. To give you an idea of what is included in the visual identity created for the cluster, it includes both a visual and written identity of the cluster, so a name and payoff, and also a logo if the cluster is interested. And this common visual and written identity is then applied in a set of dissemination materials, so the joint fact sheet and video that the cluster can use right away. Why do we propose this joint visual identity? Because it fosters the recognition and the consistency of the message that the project group wants to convey to its prioritized stakeholders. It is an identity that won't be replacing the individual project's identity, but it will act as an umbrella identity, simplifying the recognition of your cluster by your target stakeholders. So the identity will include a name and payoff, also a joint hashtag, why not, and a logo if the cluster is interested. And then it will be applied to this set of dissemination materials, including a fact sheet and a short video peel of around 1 minute. Within these materials, the results of the project group will be highlighted, trying to capture the attention of your main target audience that you have decided to address jointly. On the right of this slide, you can see some examples of screenshots of videos that we have produced so far on many different topics, from robotics to health and nutrition to smart cities. We invite you to have a look at our YouTube channel, where all videos that have been produced are gathered. Well, down this page, you can see a couple of examples of logos that we have produced for clusters that are now have now finished the service delivery together with us. To give you a more concrete example of how this joint identity can look like, we have one of ICON's experts have been working with the ARMOR cluster, and the topic of this cluster was antimicrobial resistance. Thus, playing with the acronym of the topic they are working on, so antimicrobial resistance, we have proposed to create a name with which is the ARMOR cluster with the AMR acronym. So a very strong identity for them, with the headline, which is Fighting Antimicrobial Resistance in Livestock Farming, thus explaining the topic on which the cluster is working. So included in the visual identity, there are the logo, which you can see on the right, also a choice for the fonts, a color palette, and assets that can be used by the cluster independently also when the Horizon Results Booster service is concluded. Regarding the capacity building courses that are offered to the cluster, these are delivered directly online with 3 self-study training packages, which are really aimed at helping the project group in executing their joint dissemination activities. And this can be really taken and completed by the attendees whenever they want, so in their own time. The packages include 3 topics. The first one is strategy, with topics covering the unique value proposition, objectives, how to identify target stakeholders, channels, timelines, and roles. Once package A is completed, you get access to package B, which is about operations, so how to carry out joint dissemination activities, going from planning and coordination tools to social media, SEO, copywriting, events, videos, etc. And finally, a training package on monitoring, so how to monitor the impact of your dissemination activities. This self-learning activity will be combined with a real case exercise to put the new skills at work. And once the entire process is completed, the participant will be able to download a certificate of achievement. Finally, the cluster will be invited to choose among different dissemination expert packages. And I will briefly explain what this packages is about. And the cluster will be invited to choose up to 2 of them. The first one is communicating to policy and decision makers. And there, the Horizon Results Booster experts will support the cluster in drafting a policy brief. First, by identifying the main topic and related policy priorities, and then with copywriting and message sharpening. Also, the Horizon Results Booster experts will provide a template which will guide you in drafting your policy brief, which will be then, also the design will be then managed by the Horizon Results Booster expert, so that you have some material that is ready for dissemination. The second dissemination expert package is the event support. You can get support by the experts with the agenda design, with planning and logistics, with the creation of different promotional materials, such as the banner, a poster, a PPT template for the cluster. You can get support in planning and executing promotional campaigns through social media. And there, the experts will provide you with an editorial calendar for social media, but also social media cards. You can get support in messaging and recruiting speakers and participants. And then you can agree with the experts to create different event outputs, such as live tweeting or post-event or pre-event press releases, interviews, or different other kinds of materials. In this case, experts are quite flexible, and the idea is really that the needs of the cluster are discussed jointly, and the experts will try to help you the more possible. The third dissemination expert package is about copywriting and content creation. The expert can help you, for example, drafting a text for a joint website, presenting thus the project group and its results. It can help you collect, edit, and copyright contents that you may have already created. the expert can help you writing a project group overview text that can serve, for example, as a news piece to highlight your collaboration and the results portfolio, or it can help you sharpening up your messages by providing some proofreading and editing of contents. Then there is the social media presence dissemination expert package, which usually focuses on Twitter and LinkedIn as main channels. The experts can give you support in setting up joint social media accounts if needed. For example, in the case in which none of the projects within the cluster has, let's say, a LinkedIn channel. You can get support in social media management and in the drafting and preparation of awareness-raising campaigns. You can plan social media strategy that can complement other activities, for example, a joint event that you are planning. And you can get guidance on how to carry out sponsored campaigns and how to set up KPIs and monitoring reports. Finally, the last two dissemination expert packages are the on-top strategic guidance, meaning that you can get an ad hoc support to get, for example, specific guidance on an activity that you're carrying out. You can get regular contacts and email exchange with the experts if you need an advice or a specific feedback on a specific activity that you are carrying out. And finally, the customized package is composed by the before mentioned activities, namely, basically you can create a package which is customized to the needs of the cluster by taking some activities from the previously mentioned dissemination expert packages. And now I would like to spend a few words about a concrete example of work that we have been carrying out with the project GRACE. So GRACE has applied to Module A of the Horizon Results Booster as an individual project. GRACE is working on alternative crops production and growth on a European marginalized, underutilized lands for bioeconomy purposes. So once GRACE has applied to the Horizon Results Booster, as a first activity, we have been looking for sister projects to get on board. Based on a desk research and on a research on Cordis, we have provided the applicants of GRACE with a list of sister projects, and among them, 2 others have been contacted and invited to join the project group. At that point, the service delivered has been directed to 3 projects, so which are GRACE, then Dendromas for Europe, and Miscomar. We have then been gathering the information we needed through the surveys to carry out this first analysis on their joint results and on the joint stakeholders, including also a state-of-the-art analysis and a SWOT analysis. And then we have given some initial joint dissemination recommendations that could have been either carried out by the cluster independently or jointly during Module B of the Horizon Results Booster. We have then also carried out 2 conference calls, the first one to discuss with the applicant the service delivery and the needs of the applicant, and a second call with all project group participants to discuss the results portfolio and the first analysis that have been carried out, so including the portfolio of results and also the stakeholder analysis, aiming to validate together that analysis. So in Module A, we have brought together the project group. We have explored each other's objectives and results, thus paving the way towards a joint dissemination plan, which has been then carried out in Module B. Module B, so GRACE, from being an individual project, has then created a project group that we decided to call Cropportunity. For the cluster, we have then created this joint dissemination plan, aiming to define together sort of a joint dissemination strategy about how they could be carrying out joint dissemination activities and towards which stakeholders. We have then created a group visual and written identity including also a hashtag, which is Cropportunity. We have then produced the joint brochure and video for the cluster. And then the cluster has expressed the interest in being supported in the promotion of a joint workshop they were organizing, the Perennial Crops for Bioeconomy side event at the EU Bioeconomy Conference, which has taken place in October 2022. In that case, we have been supporting the cluster by producing branded materials for the event promotion, so including the agenda, a PPT template that has been used during the event, and also we have designed the promotional strategy for the promotion of their joint event, especially on social media. Finally, we have created and made available the capacity building courses aiming to support the cluster in the execution of their joint dissemination activities, also for the future, of course, dissemination activities, not only in the Horizon Results Booster. So at this point, I would like to invite our testimonial, Andreas Kiesel, who represents GRACE project, to join us.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Andreas. Welcome.
Hi, Sophia.
Thank you for being here. So first of all, I would like to ask you if you could present your project, the key exploitable results of your project, and also some of its key achievements.
Yeah, happy to do so. So the GRACE project, which was coordinated by myself, basically was working on demonstrating complete bio-based value chains from the biomass production on marginal and contaminated land until final bio-based products. So we had many industrial partners involved in our project, and basically they were taking care about producing the bio-based products, and we as university were, and together with other partners and universities and even farmers, were taking care about crop production and environmental aspects of the crop production and the bio-based products. So the whole story is a bit starting from miscanthus, but also hemp was a part of that, and to show the whole value chain in an industry relevant scale, let's say that, yeah, in very brief words.
Okay, thank you very much. And can you tell us a bit how was your experience with the Horizon Results Booster, and which are the services you benefited from?
Yes, I mean, you introduced already a lot of it, so basically I have not much to add. Overall, I have to say it was very, very easy, very uncomplicated. So we just had to apply, and then we got the notification to receive that service, and then it started. So it was a very smooth process, and we, as you showed, we first were thinking about who could join our cluster, basically our project cluster, and then we decided for 2 projects which are quite close to our GRACE project, to have a very, let's say, focused cluster on perennial biomass crops, and then we formed, and that was the service provider who produced these materials, and also the campaign and the name of the cluster, which was very helpful for us. So we didn't have to think a lot about that because we were basically busy in working in our project. And as you showed, in the end, we received support for organizing this very nice event in Brussels, and also the video. And it was very helpful to have such material for the promotion and for the organization of the event promotion on social media, especially, which is something which we do not deal day by day, I have to say. So we were quite happy to have that material available. Yeah.
Thank you. We're glad we could be of help. And can you also, well, you mostly already said that, but what was the most useful activity within the Horizon Results Booster, and what is the short-term and also long-term benefit that the service has provided both to GRACE and also maybe to the project group?
So I think the most important benefit for the project group and also for the GRACE project was really the video and the support for organizing the side event for the bioeconomy conference, because this was really something we hadn't planned and we didn't have money for in the project so far. So it was really good to have that support. And I would say that was on short term, that was also the biggest benefit for us. On long term, certainly, I mean, on short term, one thing to add for sure, you know, also thinking about who are the stakeholders, who are the target groups, identifying them and thinking about more about how to reach them also was very helpful, which was part of the dissemination plan development, because we started with an existing dissemination plan from our projects already. And on long term, I would say the biggest benefit is really the capacity building. Not only the course, but also really the physical experience in how to promote such an event, how to do it, and what steps are needed to create such a video, even though we just delivered the material for you and you created the material, the video. That is something which I would say on long term, all partners which were involved really profit a lot. Yeah.
That's great. Maybe something we can also add is that the capacity building courses are usually open to any person within the consortia that are participating, the projects that are participating to the Horizon Results Booster. So this is really an interesting opportunity. And as a last question, Andreas, what is next with your key exploitable results?
As you show on the slide, the GRACE projects finished by the end of last year. And a large part of our key exploitable results are really linked to, let's say, industrial partners, because basically they have developed bio-based materials, bio-based products. The partners working in the Miscanthus crop production, they have further developed the methods to establish Miscanthus on a large scale, and now it's really up on them to further exploit that, and that is really the biggest part of the key exploitable results, I would say. For us as scientists, we still have a lot of things to be done, I would say, looking more at the environmental aspects, and also spreading the word about the benefits of bioeconomy and Miscanthus and hemp as a feedstock for the bioeconomy, and especially for the later ones, so spreading the word. I think such capacity building is really important for us, because at least for myself as scientist, I'm not really used to dissemination. I'm more focused on scientific publications than on really dissemination for a broader audience.
Thank you, Andreas. Is there anything you would like to add before closing?
No, I think that's all.
Okay, perfect. Then thank you very much for attending. Yes, and thank you everyone also for your attention. If you have any question, I'm happy to reply them later. I give back the floor to Alessia.
Thank you very much, Sophia and Andreas. Now we move from the dissemination services to the very first exploitation services with our expert Antonello Fiorucci from Meta Group and his testimonial. Antonello, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alessia. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Antonello Fiorucci from Meta Group. I'm very happy to be here this morning. We will try to have a focus on the Service 1 Module C and the Service 2 exploitation and business plan preparation. I am sharing my screen. And okay, can you see my screen? Okay, so basically, let's start our journey from our superhero here because both the Service 1 Module C and the Service 2 are focused on a key exploitable result, KER. During the project lifetime, we developed so many different results, but in these services, we have to focus on key exploitable results. And amongst all results that we develop during the project lifetime, we have to focus on those responding to specific needs, to the demands of a well-defined group of customers, and those results selected by partners in order to be used or to be introduced on the market. And once I have defined these two basic characteristics, I can have so many different typologies of results: a product or a process, a new service, a policy, a new standard, new training courses, and whatever. We always say that, for example, a patent is not a result, okay? It's something that I have to, it's a part of an IP strategy enabling a future use, but we can focus on so many different results, and from these results we can start working with our two services. Let's start from the Service 1 Module C, the so-called DES-C. And the most important part of the Service 1 Module C is the exploitation strategy seminar. It's the core of our service, the ESS. Let's say something about the ESS. The seminar more or less lasts 1 day or 2 half days. It's up to us, together with the beneficiary, to decide how to organize the agenda, and we will see later on a tentative example of the agenda. And the participants are basically the key exploitable result owners, together with the coordinator, the exploitation teams, and all the partners interested in being part of the seminar, so which can contribute actively to the discussion during the seminar. It's also important to say that this kind of service could be, we can say, more useful, I would say, if requested in the first part of the project before the midterm. Obviously, you can apply anytime and also beyond the project lifetime, but starting with this discussion on exploitation before the midterm of the project life will help us to focus on exploitation plan, on the definition of different steps to take, and to also allow us to have a more clear understanding about the selection and the validation of the key exploitable results. And during the ESS, we can work on maximum 3 key exploitable results. We can decide to pick 1 or 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. But we can work a maximum on 3 key exploitable results, also because the work to carry out need to be a little bit deepened. And so we define this number as a best option for carrying out a profitable service. At the end of the process, we will release a final report, providing several tools completed and discussed during the seminar, starting from the characterization table, which is the tool which is used for characterizing the key exploitable result, the priority map, which help us to understand different risks to prevent in exploitation process. We will have the exploitation roadmap, which is basically a set of action. Okay, the plan, beyond the plan, we can say, defining the actions to carry out in the 3-6 months after the end of the project, when resources is not longer available from the Commission, and we have to organize this kind of activities for securing the future rules of our key exploitable results. And we will release also a set of recommendations where we try to define some key elements for the better implementation of our exploitation strategy. Let's start. Let's keep talking about the approach of the Service 1 Model C, and we have to say that this kind of service is not focused on the scientific dimension, but we focus on a business dimension, on the key exploitable result, key features related to use with a problem-oriented approach. We start from the problem that we would like to solve, to contribute to solve, and we try to work on the key exploitable result with this kind of approach. We concentrate on how to increase the TRL after the project ends with possible lack of resources, and we focus on some key ingredients, the unique value proposition, the UVP, so the reason why a potential customer should adopt your solution instead of another one available. So we talk about competitive advantages. We talk about the use model, which can be direct or indirect, and we focus on early adopters. So our target audience for dissemination activities, and also actors which can be really important for adopting first our solution, but also validating our solution. Key objectives of the seminar. First of all, introducing some key concepts like impact, key exploitable results, use, and relationship in between all these concepts. We have to have a wide, we can say, a wide perspective of these concepts, because obviously we have to go with projects and key and results coming from Framework Program 7 to Horizon Europe. So there is a different also understanding of some key concepts like impact, but we would like to introduce these concepts. And another objective is to focus on key exploitable results and discuss problems, risk related to exploitation and to use, and discuss the first actions to carry out after the project ends. Here you can see a tentative agenda of an ESS. And as I said, it is important to say that it can be 1 day long or 2 half days. And in this case, we are presenting a 2-day agenda, a 2-day long agenda with 3 key exploitable results to be discussed. Obviously, this is completely customizable because we have to consider that for each key exploitable result, we have to devote 1 hour and a half, a couple of hours, in order to discuss the characterization table, the risk map, and the exploitation roadmap. And basically, the ESS has a first day where we can introduce some key concepts related to exploitation, some definitions, and some information about the differences in between exploitation and dissemination, to have an overview of exploitation plan. And the second day is completely devoted to the discussion of the key exploitable results, 1 or 2 or 3, as I said before. Obviously, if we decide for selecting, for example, 1 or 2 key exploitable results, we can imagine to squeeze a little bit this program and to have the same service in one day. But this kind of consideration is something that we do together with the beneficiary. Here you can see the steps, the delivery steps to take with the expert appointment after the application of the beneficiary. The expert should contact the beneficiary in 1-3 days after the appointment. And then the first interaction that we have is the introductory call, where we align a little bit the expectation, we discuss about the service, how it works, and so on. And it should be somehow take place 5 weeks before the ESS date, because in these 5 weeks there are some things to be carried out. First of all, we should understand, we should customize the agenda. We should collect data from beneficiary, because after the introductory call, the team of experts will share with beneficiary a set of tools to be completed by the beneficiary. These tools should be completed and collected by the expert teams at least 3 weeks before the ESS dates. Then the expert team will prepare a preliminary report, which will be the baseline for the discussion during the ESS, during the seminar. And this preliminary report will be shared with the beneficiary at least 5 days before the ESS, in order to allow the beneficiary to share the preliminary report with all the partners, to discuss, to read it, and to be ready for the discussion at the ESS. After the ESS, there will be the possibility to leave feedback about the service, and in 10 working days after the ESS, the expert team will release a final report with all the tool completed and the recommendations. Let's now talk about business plan development. It is a service with a little bit more interaction, and having an overview of this service, the service 2, we have to say that in this case we have to focus on one key exploitable result, and the support is customized according to the maturity of the key exploitable result. In this case, we have to understand if there is a draft of your business plan, and in this case, the expert should help you, will help you in finalizing and fine-tuning what is already done. And if the business plan draft is not available and the care is characterized, the expert will try to put together, to organize all the information which are important and necessary for drafting your business and use plan, and provide recommendation on how to implement your future activities, your business-related future activities. Main elements of the service, as I said, one key exploitable results. In this case, the best option, starting from talking about the timing, is to have this kind of service after the midterm of the project life, and obviously after the service 1 Model C. The two services, this is important to say, are completely available standalone, but the idea here is to use the first service on exploitation as a baseline for preparing a better discussion on the BPD service. So from my point of view, my opinion is that these two services can work better if they are carried out together. Also, in this case, the participants are the care owner, the coordinator, the exploitation team, and all the participants interested in working on the business plan preparation. And also in this case, we will release a final report with the input for the future use of the key exploitable results, providing a characterization table, an improved version of the characterization table, this called business plan structure, the lean canvas as the main tool, canvas tool that we will use during the project, during the service, the exploitation plan, and a set of recommendations. We can say, three main phases of the service. The first phase is related to introducing the service delivery. After the first interaction, some pre-assessment tools will be shared, and in the introductory call, the expert and the beneficiaries will agree on activities to carry out. So we will discuss about the service, how the service will take place, and so on. And after this first introductory phase, we will have the preparation of the workshop with the first webinar on Lean Canvas, where we'll discuss the functioning criteria of this tool. And after this webinar, after this Lean Canvas webinar, the expert will share all the tools to complete and to make available to the expert in order to prepare, to allow the expert team to prepare the first set of guidelines, which is the baseline of the discussion during the BPD workshop. The BPD workshop will cover an introduction on business planning, and then we will discuss all the tools completed by the beneficiaries, starting from the Lean Canvas, the business plan structure, the implementation, and exploitation roadmap. The last phase of this service is the one devoted to the finalization of the service. The first task of this phase can be a follow-on coaching. If you, after the BPD workshop, need an additional discussion on specific issues such as financials, early adopters, and so on, you can request a follow-on coaching session for discussing specifically on this issue. And finally, there is the implementation of the plan and the final report, which will be released by the expert team after completing the process with all these tools completed and with a complete set of recommendations for improving the strategy for the future use of your key exploitable results. As you can see, here we have a tentative agenda. The BPD workshop is something a little bit more agile from the ESS workshop, even if in this case the BPD service is characterized by a little bit more interaction in between the expert team and the beneficiary. But in this case, you can see that there is an ice-breaking activity. Then there will be the discussion on the business planning process, and then there will be the work on the exploitation plan, on the lean canvas, the business plan structure, and the exploitation roadmap. Here you can see the different steps to take of for what concerns the PPD service. There is the appointment, the first introductory call. There is this new step, which is the Lean Canvas webinar, and then more or less there is the same type of interaction that we have in the ESS service, with the preparation of the first set of guidelines based on the tools completed by the beneficiary, the BPD workshop, the potential activation of the follow-on coaching related to specific issues discussed during the BPD workshop, and the release of a final report, BPD final report, 2 weeks after the BPD seminar. Some things to keep in mind. The booster is a learning experience. We are working on specific key explorable results, but what we are working on, the methodology, the tools, can be applied also in future application, in future projects on different key exploitable results. So we are not just working on a specific key exploitable result, but we are acquiring tools and methodology for working with different key exploitable results for future projects. It's extremely important to align expectation and to be extremely clear in the introductory call and during the interaction, just in order to be sure that what we are doing is consistent with our expectation, and it is something important both for the expert and for the beneficiary. It's extremely important to have a clear focus on deadlines, and to clear the key concepts that we have to manage without doubts and any problem. Okay, and then obviously it's important that we have a clarity of the purposes of each tool that should be used, that will be used during the process and during the service. Now I am extremely happy to introduce you our testimonial, Kelly Hagenbach. I am working with her with Coeso projects. We have already completed the Service 1 Module C, and we are just working on the PPD. Good morning, Kelly. We had yesterday our Lean Canvas webinar, and so we are in the middle of our service. So, good morning, please, Kelly. Let's talk about a little bit of Coeso, and then we will try to understand a little bit better how we are working on the key exploitable result, the Vera platform.
Thank you, Antonello. So I would love to first tell you about Coeso. Coeso is as you see on the slide, it's a 3-year project. We're in our 3rd year, and we are fostering the growth of citizen science in the social sciences and humanities. That's also there on the slide, as you can see. Part of our project enables 10 different pilot projects that are citizen science projects in the social sciences and humanities. We fund them basically through a cascade funding program. And with those projects, we do 2 main things. One is bring them together to learn from them what participatory research or citizen science looks like, and what kind of collaboration they have with their partners. And then they help us to co-design a platform called Vera, which is an online hub for new projects to get started and to search for funding together and to organize their work together. In addition to that, with these 10 pilot projects, we support them with creating and maintaining a blog for their public engagement activities. And then, so that's what we do with the pilots, the 10 pilots. And then another aspect of the COESO project is our involvement in funding. So we want to understand how citizen science projects in the social sciences and humanities, how much funding they have available to them. And so we've done a landscape study where we've created a picture of what's available to the community, and we've also worked directly with funders through workshops to understand from their perspective what the barriers are to funding these kind of projects. So that's COESO in a nutshell, and then our two KERs are the key exploitable results that we worked with in the Horizon Results Booster program is the Vera platform, which I briefly described, and our funding advocacy work.
No, thank you, Kelly. I am very happy to have you here because when we talk about exploitation, we often think that exploitation is just for technology-based results or projects, and in your case, we have SSH results and projects, and it is important to say that there is something to work on, and it's very, very important. So I would like to tell you to ask you to share your experience with HRB, with the DESC service and the BPD1.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that we are maybe not the expected client, because we didn't think we were either when I applied. I wasn't quite sure if we were what you were looking for, or if the service was meant for us. But it turns out that it's really perfect. The application process was really easy and quick and very friendly interactions. And what I really most appreciated about the experience was how flexible you and your team were with us.
We will try. Yes.
Yeah, because we had to change dates a few times, and you really seem to understand that we have a lot going on, where a lot of different people were trying to coordinate, and we really appreciated that flexibility. So you asked me to talk about the services. So we have gotten help with Module C and the business plan development. So in regards to Module C, tell me again what Module C, the name of Module C is?
It's the ESS.
Yeah, but what's that stand for?
The DESC. So it's Module C is the name of the service on exploitation, because during the service we are more friendly, we can say, and so this is the ESS, the exploitation service. And the BPD is the business plan service, but yes, okay.
I mean, I just asked for clarification for anyone who's listening, because there are a lot of acronyms, aren't there, in this project. Yeah, so in the exploitation service, what it really did was help our team get into sort of a business frame of mind, because of course we're a research project. We're all focused on the research we're doing and developing these ideas that we've thought about for the past 3 years. But you helped us to really get into a frame of mind where we have to think about the future of what we're doing, and we had to, because all of our partners come from different backgrounds and have different experiences, it helped us to all get onto the same page, to be able to discuss these topics. So we were able to, through the tools that you mentioned, and by the way, your presentation was so thorough, but I just want to say it's not actually very complicated. You give us a lot of tools, and then you mentor us to apply the tools to our situation. So that's really all it is, and it's really helpful because these tools that you gave us helped us to organize our thoughts. It provided us some structure for us to have discussions internally.
Exactly.
It gave us a common understanding of certain terminologies that we all need to use as we move forward, so we can communicate with each other and with future partners. So, like, for example, terminologies that everybody in this community needs to really understand, like exploitables, results, outcomes, impact. We think we know, but actually when we start digging deep into it with you, we realize there's much more to know and ways to connect the dots. So that was really helpful.
I'm very happy.
Also, it helped us to fine-tune our products or our results and what we want to do with it. So fine-tuning who our customers are, what the problem is that the customers are experiencing, and then who our competitors are, what our unique value proposition is. All of this we wouldn't have thought to do on our own. So it was very helpful for us to be part of the program with you, so that you could help us to fine-tune this.
Thank you. I'm very happy to hear this. And last question, what's next with your key explorable results? And we have to complete the BPD, yes, but what's next with after the end of the project?
Well, at the moment, we are still improving our products, our results. So that's what we're really focusing on, is making especially the Vera platform as good as we can, and so that we can really fall in love with it and make other people fall in love with it too and use it. And we also are confirming the commitments we have with our current partners and potential future partners, and securing financial resources for all of that. So that's a huge work ahead of us, but I think with the support that we've gotten from you to build sort of a baseline for us to work from, we're going to be able to do that a lot easier than had we tried to do it without this service.
So we have to prepare a good business plan. Okay, we have to finalize it. Yes, it's noted. Okay. So thank you, Kelly, for this. Thank you for your for sharing your thoughts and your experience. And from my side, that's all. And I will give back the floor to Alessia.
Thank you very much, Antonello and Kelly. Now we go directly to the go-to-market services, which I will be introducing for you, and then passing the floor to Michele Liberati from Ciao-Tech P&O Consulting, that will introduce some of them as well, and his testimonial. But first of all, let's start with an introduction on the go-to-market support, because as you can see from the slide, it's not just one single service, but we have 6 sub-services which could be requested under the service 3. So we do have the pitching, the support for IPR, innovation management training, business services, exploitation options, and on non-EU funding. there is a quick recap on eligibility that I have to make in this direction, because not all support typologies can be selected given to the limit of equivalent working days that we can provide to each project. And so the platform does not allow for specific combinations. So you can request more than one, and even in different applications, but for this you need to consider that not all the combinations will be allowed. Go-to-market services can be requested after the module C, so the very first service addressing exploitation, so service 1 module C, and or the service 2, the business plan development completion, or as a standalone if the project is ready. The focus for the go-to-market services is only on one key exploitable result, because bear in mind that Horizon Results Booster is meant to be a learning experience for the beneficiaries, and therefore what exercise and work with the experts during the service delivery can be then transferred by project partners to all the other key exploitable results. And usually at the application phase, a dissemination and exploitation plan or an advanced business plan or a completed service 2 is needed to access the go-to-market service. Let me introduce the very first 3 support types. So I'm going to start with the pitching service. This is a training and coaching on how to present exploitable results to different audiences. Clearly, this is not for peer-to-peer and scientific audiences, but it's more for addressing investors, business partners, or other relevant stakeholders. The recommended time to request the pitching service is close to the end of the project's lifespan, or when key exploitable results are well identified, to be then, of course, disseminated to others. It could be delivered as a standalone service or as a part of a service package. And in this case, applicants can be single projects or project groups coming from the eligible funding. Very quick service delivery steps. There is the appointment of the service team, then capacity building preparation with the review of some of the tools which are used for the service delivery. There is a feedback report to prepare the elevator pitch. Then there is a capacity building with a half-a-day workshop on investor readiness, how to pitch, and review of the elevator pitch. And then it is organized a simulated online-offline pitching, and then a final report including a feedback. The second support type under the go-to-market services is support and guidance for IPR. Under this service, beneficiaries will receive a first level of support in which will introduce to them the different modalities and procedures for intellectual property management. And as well, this will guide them through different European Commission initiatives. So the idea is that this is more an introductory service on the specific topic, not to overlap with other initiatives already offered by the Commission, like the IPR desk, the IP scan, and others. This service can be requested as a standalone or as part of a service package, and can be requested by a single project or a project group. In this case, the delivery after the service team appointment, there is training preparation with the introductory call to set specific topics of interest and request eventually a missing document. Then there is a training, half-a-day workshop on basics on intellectual property rights and topics agreed in the introductory call, and then 2 hours coaching session on the scope and how to use the main easy-funded support services. Support type 3, training on innovation management. This is a pure training type of service, which will give you insights on the various dimensions of innovation management, how they interrelate, how they can be applied to the different contexts, and then, of course, how they can be used. Again, this could be delivered as a standalone or as a part of a service package to single projects or to project groups. In this case, there is a full day online training course to enhance the innovation management competencies of partners of the consortium. As I already said, the 5 dimensions of innovation management will be tackled. There will be the introduction of definition and benefits of innovation, and it's a service which combines theory and practice with case studies. At the application phase, you can have some, I would say, suggested packages. As I said at the very beginning, you cannot access all the services. Therefore, we thought to suggest how those could be best combined. Of course, it's up to you which services under the go-to-market are, the most fitting for your specific case. You know better than us your needs. So please, if you have any doubt, contact us. Now I'm giving the floor to Michele Liberati from Ciaotech P&O to let you introduce services 4, 5, and 6 and to interact with his testimonial. So please, Michele, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alessia. Hope you can see my screen and you can hear me well. Thanks so much to HRB for inviting me to talk, and thanks so much to Aiche Selik for being here present as a guest. So I'm gonna talk about the last part of the go-to-market support, which focus on business feasibility, on the exploitation of the option for commercialization strategies, and on supporting the development of commercialization plans and building the funding strategy by analyzing the possible solution behind the EU funding. So in this approach, consortia typically follow a logical order from understanding the relationship between go-to-market process and their own innovation process, identifying and selecting the exploitation option, developing their exploitation strategy and plan, and matching the strategy with financing and support. So the idea is that for companies that have mature key exploitable results and innovation with business model already defined, trying to design the map for entering the market, analyzing all the possible routes that they can take, and selecting which could be the best one or the best ones or the safest ones, and planning their journey to the market. Let's go some more in detail in each one of these services. So business service refers to the operational support in the steps immediately before entering the market. So there are 2 types of support activities related to this service, which is assessing the feasibility of the business plan, so analyzing the figures, the numbers, and evaluating from the expert perspective the feasibility and the sustainability of the business plan, and then supporting the preparation of the commercialization plan. In order to carry on this task, the product and the service need to be, of course, already developed and tested on the market, and it's recommended that the client has already a well-designed exploitation plan to be used as a basis for service development. So basically, these are the main characteristics for the service. So it's particularly indicated beneficial for projects with high level of technology readiness level, TRL, mature use model, and key exploitable result already well defined and developed. So these are the activities, so preparing the commercialization plan, assessing the feasibility of the business plan, and analyzing and assessing the customer in the possibility of creating startups, spin-off, and their related commercialization plans. Some more detail about the specific activities in each one of these three main support services. So assessing the desired strategic position of the innovation and advising the optimization of this strategic position, examining the business plan consistency and profitability, and finally assessing the business proposition plan, the legal and regulatory aspect, the legal framework, and related to company establishment. Here are some examples of tools that are used. So the work will be done by relying on several tools. Part of this one will be developed by the client and reviewed by the expert. Part of them will be developed in joint sessions, and some will be developed by the expert with guidances and recommendations for the customer. For example, the 4P assessment tool is an analysis tool for the marketing mix that is addressed to analyze the coherence and balance of the 4P, so product, price, place, and promotion, and planning the marketing strategy. The business model assessment tool is a scoring template to assure that the beneficiary gets clear overview of the strengths and the weakness of their business plan. The financial business case assessment is aimed to assess the business plan profitability, and the expert through that tool can verify whether the numbers presented make sense and whether the projection provide a return that is satisfactory for the investor. In this phase will be underlined the potential issues such as risk involved, aggressive growth assumption, external factor related to patents, lower regulation, product quality standards, and so on. The final part of the service will collect all this input and is addressed to the development of the commercialization plan. Second type of services is related to the examination of the exploitation option and the assessment of which are the most suitable for the innovation. So that's extremely important for choosing the right exploitation model that can have a huge impact on the innovation success on the market. The characteristic for accessing the service are more or less the same than before. So high TRL level, mature use model, and key exploitable result developed and clear. And here are the activities that are related to the assessment of the exploitation route and the commercialization strategy and evaluation of pros and cons of each option. Again, some example of tools used in this phase. So could be needed, requested to have a better characterization of key exploitable result before the development of the commercialization plan. So through the exploitation form, the expert specify the pros and the cons linked to the implementation of each option selected by the beneficiary, and highlighting the level of commitment needed for the involvement of human resource, the level of investment request, and the authorization timeline and any IPR issues. At the end, again, the service will prepare a report which will summarize the most appropriate exploitation option with practical recommendation on how to implement them. We'll go some more in detail in this part of service with words, with the speech of Aiche, which will talk about AIMERE project. Finally, last component of the service is related to accessing to non-EU fund. So Horizon Result Boosters provide services to support the beneficiaries in defining their own funding strategy to access funding behind the EU if once. So the goal is to avoid the common situation in which good research does not come to fruition due to lack of access to funding or absence of a funding strategy. To create a good funding strategy, the beneficiary need to know which are the opportunities available, what funding suits their innovation objective, and how to strategically prioritize the relevant funding opportunities. bit more in detail, here are the main activities in this service, which is the analysis and the scan of the funding possibility, their criteria and requirement, the development of the funding strategy for each by analyzing in depth any funding opportunities and building a strategy on them. And finally, probably most important, coaching and supporting the clients in developing their application and implementation of their funding. So taking the first step in one of the route that the client will choose. Again, some tools which can describe also the process. So there will be an initial reflection on the goals and the needs of the customer through the project seeking funding template. So the expert will conduct an analysis of the opportunity of the funding that might facilitate the co-financing of the project and facilitate the go-to-market process. Based on the collected information, the expert will outline the possibility, the possible types of funding programs that need to be investigated, considering also the geographical location and the availability of public data. The expert will support the beneficiary to identify the relevant funding organization and identifying possible funding programs. So basically, the expert will guide the beneficiary in contacting these funding bodies and collect information based on the grant fact sheet template that will further be analyzed to assess if the funding opportunities are relevant or less relevant to the beneficiary. The result of this evaluation will be provided by the characterization of the funding opportunity. So basically, the expert will guide the clients in avoiding the most common mistakes in developing the funding application, which are not connecting the objectives to the strategical purpose of the funding program, confusing description of the project, unclear description of the target results or benefit of the project, and lacking of quantification, incorrect interpretation of budgeting rules of the funding program and unrealistic budget allocation, and unclear understanding of specific criteria of funding program to select their application. That's basically a short description of the services. I'm happy to introduce Aiche Selik, the president of Envisa, which actually I served some months ago in one of these services. And thanks so much, Aiche, for being here, for your time today.
Thank you, Michele.
I'm going to ask you basically the same question of before. So what was the project about? What was Amire project about?
Hello everyone. First of all, sorry, I had a bit of a problem to connect, but finally I managed. So basically, I'm Aiche Selik, president of Envisa. It's a French SME existing since 2004. Research SME working on the aviation and environmental subjects. And MR project was also one of the environmental projects from the Clean Sky Design for Environment. Aircraft metal recycling was set up to create a kind of methodology for high-grade alloys, processing of an aging aircraft, and to valorization of the valuable parts. In this MR consortium, we were actually two partners, Envisa and the French, which is a research company, and the more industrial company called Barton Recycling, which was a subsidiary of the Veolia. So the idea of the project was to find new recycling routes and opportunities, especially in this service level. I was going to focus on that because we did some other things as well. But we realized very quickly in the projects that the most high-value aircraft parts were easy to recycle or to reuse, let's say, but less value aircraft parts were not recycled because it was costly and there was no buyers, so it was much more difficult to find the kind of recycling routes for those kind of parts coming from the aging aircraft. And as you know, there are more and more aircraft getting aging, and there's also no kind of regulation for the end of life in Europe for the moment, like we have in the vehicles. So it's a kind of specific subject. So that's why we decided to go through from this specific domain.
Yeah, it was a pleasure for me to support you in this process, because I find the project super interesting and with a huge potential impact on circular economy. So why basically did you request HRB services? What was your main goal?
Yes, thank you. Well, basically, we had the projects, we had the project results, and we are involved in quite actually EU projects. We realize that most of the SME, maybe like us, they work on the kind of research projects, but they don't convert the research idea into products or some kind of sellable products. So, as with the entrepreneur mind, we said, well, why don't we create something which could be useful, both for circular economy, because it's a high topic right now, but also which could bring an economically viable solution to Europe, because this is not much done in Europe. So that's why we said, okay, we are mostly engineers, so how can we do that market service, or how we can create a kind of valuable product? So that's why we requested the HRB service.
Okay. Yeah, I also like your engineering and practical approach, and also the focus on creating sustainable business in this direction. So how it went, how the service went, what worked well, what didn't work well, what will you improve?
Yeah, so as you know, well, maybe I don't know, maybe we were in the beginning of this HRB service, so we didn't know exactly how it works, because there are several levels of services. So first we had, you know, we identify which was the like natural steps for us, because we had already the project results, but we wanted to create a kind of product. So we needed this kind of like a tools that you provided us to identify like the key points, the key metrics, and then to prepare this. We had some kind of commercial ideas, but we didn't have the proper commercial plan. So I think we started with that. First of all, we have this lean canvas template that we work on, identify the, you know, which kind of problems we can convert to solutions, what could be our unique propositions on the circular economy in the aviation, and then some kind of, I think our weakest point also was like the cost part, like the financial. So we had to think about that, the revenue streams, and how to build a kind of good working financial cost structure. So those kind of things, I think it helped us a lot. We had also, I think the IPR part was also interesting. We had also requested this IPR support, which was very, very useful, because most of us, I mean, Envisa is mostly engineers, and we have lack of support internally. We don't have all the departments helping us how to protect our IPRs, or have to, you know, what to advance. So this kind of things helped us as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So after all, for conclusion, what's the value added perceived, and if you will suggest the service to other projects, other colleagues, other entrepreneurs?
So first of all, I think it was very good from the EU to provide such services, because it's a free service, obviously, for us, but it's very helpful. So it will help us to go to the, you know, maybe something which we wanted, but we didn't do because we didn't have enough time, or we didn't have the direction. So which helped us now to go to the next step. So hopefully we will use this you know, ideas and then the solutions, and we will go looking for the fundings to create a spin-off, because as an entrepreneur, the idea from Envisa, we already created another spin-off earlier, like 4 or 5 years ago, which is called Aerobay. And so now we would like to create another spin-off, which is called Plain Use, really focus on the circular economy. So for the entrepreneurs, I will suggest, you know, to look around this kind of services, and then try to identify the product idea, and use with the services, and to create some kind of spin-off. So that will be my recommendation.
Thanks so much, Aice. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your sharing. And thank you for being here today.
Thanks to you.
I'm giving the floor to Alessia again.
Thank you very much, Michele and Aice, for your presentation and your experience. Now we go to the Q&A session. So I would kindly ask to the colleagues in the team to share Slido, so we can have a look to the questions and provide answers. In the meantime, okay, this was very fast. Thank you very much. So I'm starting with the of course, the most liked ones. So the very first one, is it possible to apply if you didn't have a previous submission and it is mandatory to be funded? Yes. You need to have an ongoing, at least, project funded under the one of the framework programs that were mentioned, so FP7, H2020, and Horizon Europe. So you are eligible from the starting date, which is set in your grant agreement. Is it possible to request HRB services focused on a specific area of a project? Okay, example on the work of a single work package within a larger project. Is it possible to customize somehow the content of the services which are delivered? First of all, I would suggest to pick the right service for the purpose. Clearly, the aim of the services is in the direction of addressing dissemination, exploitation, and go-to-market aims. Therefore, a single work package, yes, but it should be work package concern, to the topics that we were mentioning. So it's not that you have to work on the whole project. As it was mentioned, each service has a different number of key exploitable results that could be worked during the service delivery, and therefore, in any case, you should make a selection on your own. Next one, please. Will there be, recording? Yes, the recording will be available on the event page, where you can already find all the presentations in PPT and PDF format, and where all the Slido questions and written answers will be displayed. Would you suggest to mention Horizon Results Booster or any other instrument within the dissemination plan of a Horizon Europe project proposal? Yes. Definitely, please, of course, if mentioning the Horizon Results Booster, you can even refer to specific services when you're dealing with dissemination, with exploitation, and go-to-market. Of course, this should fit the needs of your proposal. Speakers use too many acronyms. I'm very sorry for that. I'm trying not to use them, but in any case, in the slides, you have all the explanations in full, and this will be then easier to go back to the content. The service plan is so complete and it requires a big time commitment. Will the worked out plan be validated as an effective dissemination? Okay. Exploitation implementation for the project. So as I said since the beginning, experts act as facilitators. So this means the project partners need to collaborate with the experts, and they are the ones who need to provide, the content. So whatever will be the output produced by the different HRB services, you can clearly use the output to feed your deliverables and to progress in your dissemination and exploitation and go-to-market paths. So yes, the time commitment that you will devote to work with the experts under the HRB service delivery is considered as, of course, activities and actions towards dissemination and exploitation implementation of your project. Would you choose to apply only one module of the service? For instance, to implement only module A for service 1? Yes, of course, you can. It's up to you to decide which type of module you would like to access. I mean, service 1 has 3 modules, and at the application phase, you will be requested to pick module by module. So if you would like only to have module A, you can pick module A, only module C you can request only the module C. Please note that to request the module B directly without passing through the module A, you will need to already have in place a project group or a cluster of projects. But it's really up to you, and you can request services in one application or even in more application, requesting first the module A and then the module B in another application. So this is really up to you, and the process is really flexible. And okay, what happens if there are no commonalities, complementarities across projects that have applied and no cluster can be created? Is the application rejected? The eligibility check, which is made when the application is submitted, it's really addressing only the eligibility of a project, which should come from eligible funding. Applications are not rejected because there is not an already in place project group, or I mean, it's not evaluated at the application phase if a project group which submitted an application has or hasn't commonalities. So submit your application, and you can submit it as well as an individual project. A project group will be created later on thanks to the support of the experts. If you submit your application as an already created project group, there should be reasons behind for sure, and therefore the experts will work with the created project group. Experts can even suggest how to and if enlarge the project group, suggesting other projects. So do not be worried about that. Your application is not going to be rejected for that purpose, and everything will be then managed at the service team level, so directly with the experts. Is it not possible to join the capacity building course if you are not in a cluster? If no, could you explain why? Okay, capacity building courses are part of the Service 1 Module B, addressing dissemination. So you need to be, of course, the beneficiary of a Service 1 Module B to be part of the capacity building course. If you are an individual project, you can request first Service 1 Module A. A project group is created, and then you can access the Module B and benefit from the capacity building courses, which are part of the service delivery of the Service 1 Module B. Is there particular synergies with SME support initiatives like EN, the specific brokerage event? In principle, HRB is, of course, a separate initiative, but we are often in contact with, the other type of initiatives. I have to say, mainly with the EEN network. Services which are offered are complementary. And I mean, depending on the type of service, there could even be links with the specific events that beneficiaries would like to attend or to pitch or to disseminate their results. So this needs then to be seen in details with the specific cases. But I mean, there is not a formal established synergy, but if there is the need, we can, of course, collaborate. Is the course free? Okay, if the reference to the course is to the capacity building exercise under Service 1 Module B, yes, of course it is. All the HRB services are free of charge. So yes. At what stage of the project results can we think, can we think of boosting our results? As soon as you have, clear ideas on your key exploitable results. It depends much on which type of support you would like to benefit from. If it's in terms of dissemination, clearly offering HRB joint dissemination services, this means that you should have a pretty clear idea on your key exploitable results. While if you are thinking to the Service 1 Module C, so the entry level in terms of exploitation services, we can even intervene after the first consortium meeting of the project. So let's say after the first 6 months of project's life. And then, of course, progressing with the follow-up services, the Service 2, and the different go-to-market services. So there is no right or wrong moment, but I'm always saying the sooner the better. Please be aware that when you are filling in your application form online, you will be requested to set a tentative date, period of time in which you would like to have the different services delivered. This allows you to plan according to the activities that you have to carry on under your project. And as well, this should be more or less, of course, in line with the progresses that your project is making in the direction of disseminating and exploiting the achieved results. So because this could be even considered as a path, the sooner the better. Are Seal of Excellence projects eligible to HRB? Okay, this is more a question on eligibility. I can provide you with the answer that I know. Perhaps then the Commission can intervene if this is the case. As far as I know, the Seal of Excellence is the certification which is given to projects which passed all the threshold in the evaluation phase, but for the lack of funding, didn't manage to be ranked in a way to gather the funding. This is why there are, a parallel type of funding that could be, or support measures that could be accessible if a project got the Seal of Excellence. As far as I know, projects eligible should have signed contract with the Commission, which is a direct contract, so the grant agreement, or indirect through the EIT knowledge innovation communities and the joint undertaking. So as far as I know, and for what I told you, yes, so the Seal of Excellence projects are not eligible for HRB services. I'm sorry. Our experts selected, do applicants choose from a database of available experts? I'm sorry, not. A list of experts has been provided at contractual phase. And the experts, we have a very long list of experts already. And experts are selected considering the dissemination, exploitation, and go-to-market capabilities, and as well somehow the background domain that they can cover. Experts are proposed by the contractor to compose the service team, which is always composed by senior or junior expert plus the project manager. You will always see my name as project manager in the team. And actually, the service team that the contractor proposed is approved then by the Commission. So you will receive a notification when the service team is approved by the Commission. You will have access to the names of the experts, the NDAs that the experts signed, the short CVs, and the full CVs. Can you apply the project for HRB service even if you are a partner of the consortium, not the project coordinator? This is a very relevant question. Yes. My experience is that usually we do have project coordinators or dissemination and exploitation work package leaders or managers to act as applicant for the HRB services, but this could be done as well by any other partner. Please bear in mind that because each project can access only once to the HRB services, if one partner would like to access the services because as a direct interest, this is possible, but the suggestion is as well, of course, to share first with the coordinator and the other partners of the consortium. So you do not need to be the project coordinator to request HRB services. To be honest, when it goes to closed projects, we mainly have, directly interested partners in bringing forward achieved results to request HRB services. When it's for ongoing projects, it's more the project coordinator or the dissemination and exploitation leading partner, as I was saying. So are the services only for researchers of projects, or could people working in the innovation office of identity take also advantage of them? The services, the HRB services, are for the benefit of the project partners. This means that all the individuals which are part of the partners of a consortium can, of course, take a benefit from the HRB services and be part of the service delivery. This is something which needs to be, of course, agreed internally, because formally there will be one person acting as the applicant, and then the applicant, as soon as the service delivery starts, invites colleagues and partners to join the service delivery, to collaborate and to contribute. As our last testimonial said, in their case, they are an SME. We had other cases in which we have researchers, or we have different type of individuals with different roles are, of course, welcome to be part of the service delivery. What happens after 7th May 2024? Will be Horizon Results Booster not be available at all anymore? Okay, I'm replying here on behalf of the Commission just because I know the answer. The Commission will probably launch a new initiative, which could be, very similar to HRB with different more services. This is on the Commission, and I'm suggesting you to have a look to the European Commission portal to see what is going to happen. So for the time being, it's sure to have HRB until that we can gather application till the 7th of May 2024, and to complete the implementation till the beginning of November 2024. So this is the thing that I'm 100% sure of. How we do the online building to improve the skills of our team? Okay, you can request the Service 1 Module A and B, and as it was explained during the Service 1 Module B dissemination service, there is the online capacity building exercise among 6 different dissemination expert packages. Beneficiaries can pick up to 2 of them. Of course, there are several options, and there is as well an option to a bit customize the capacity building exercise for your specific needs. So please have a look to the information and then pick the best ones for your case. Okay, can we apply to become expert? How? Okay, as I was mentioning, a list of experts has been validated by the Commission when the contractor signed the contract, so in 2020. And those are the only experts that can be appointed. Time to time, it's possible to amend the list. So if you have an interest in that direction, you can send us an email to the Booster functional mailbox, and we can see if it would be possible to introduce you. Can recently closed project from the UK apply for the Booster? Can grantee who is now in the UK but paid before apply now for the Booster? Okay. The eligibility check is made on the project. Therefore, no matter where partners, even more individuals representing partners, where based, are based. Therefore, if you are now based in UK and you were part of an eligible project, yes, you can request on behalf of the project the HRB services, because the eligibility check is on project base. How can we participate in the Horizon Results Booster service if our project is not funded by the EU? There is a chance actually for you, and the only exception which is made is in the creation of project groups. Because in Service 1A, when the project group is created, the applicant should be an eligible project coming from the eligible funding, but the other projects composing the project group could come from any other funding. So eligible funding, considering HRB, of course, or any other funding. So if there is an eligible project which has an interest in benefiting from the dissemination services under HRB, could create a cluster or a project group with not eligible, inverted commas, projects, so the ones not coming from FP7H 2020 and Horizon Europe funding, and group together and be part of the service delivery of Service 1 Module A and then Service 1 Module B. This is actually the only way for projects which are not coming from eligible funding to be part of HRB service delivery. Can COSME project apply for the Horizon Results Booster? Unfortunately not, because COSME is another program which does not refer to FP7H 2020 and Horizon Europe. Sorry. But as I said, the COSME project could be part of a project group. How long does it take from your application until you are contacted? We are forming a cluster, but we would need the customized service. Best explained, of course, in a meeting. Usually, when you submit your application, it takes 1 week to have the application, the eligibility checked. And then it takes more or less 1 week, 10 days to have the service team appointed and approved. And therefore, I would say 15, 20 days for, this full process, to have this full process completed. And then usually within 1 week, 10 days, you are contacted by the appointed experts to agree on the service delivery plan, on the reciprocal to-dos, to agree on dates of workshops, on the different activities. Therefore, perhaps I would suggest first, before submitting your application, perhaps to drop us an email and to have a dedicated call if you think you have a specific peculiar case, and then to submit your application. Otherwise, you can submit the application and explain the specific case to the appointed experts. Speakers mentioned that some events can be organized in the framework of this service. Does this include, for example, policy around tables, cluster level? To be honest, I don't know if this is possible, but I think yes, experts can support the organization and promotion of various kinds of events, including policy roundtables. Yes. To be honest, I just got the proper answer from one of the experts via email. This is teamwork. To summarize, Horizon project is able to apply for module A and B and cannot apply at the same time for module C. No, 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 no. You can apply at the same time for all the modules, if this is your willingness. I mean, if you would like to benefit from the dissemination service and the exploitation service, please request A, B, and C in the same application. Then it's up to you to decide if you would like to have the services delivered in parallel, I mean, module A and module C, because of course module B is the follow-up of the module A, or you would like first to deal with the exploitation or first to deal with the dissemination. This is up to you and depends much on what you need for your project. So please, you can request all the modules at the same time. Is it possible to apply with an Erasmus Plus project? Unfortunately, same answer that I gave for the COSME. The only way for you to be on board is to be part of a project group. How do the experts know about projects funded from outside eligible sources in order to include them in a group as you just suggested was possible? There are, of course, possibilities to look for different projects. Clearly, experts will suggest you a number of them, and it will be up to the applicant to give green light if a project can be included in a project group or no, because experts will suggest projects with commonalities, but I mean, they could miss something specific that you know, or they could include projects and you feel that perhaps there could be confidentiality issues with some of the other projects. So do not be worried. The experts will suggest you a list of projects, and it will be up to you to decide if including them in a project group or not. But a project group needs to be created. Bear in mind this. Could I confirm that co-fund projects are also eligible? Sorry, this is already answered, but I just want to confirm. Thank you. If I'm not wrong, but I could miss this, and in this case, I need to ask to the Commission people to support me in this answer. I think that co-fund refers to Marie Curie, if I'm not Marie Curie actions. So in principle, I think yes. Because Marie Curie projects are already benefiting from HRB services. So I'm coming back to you on this because I see colleagues typing. So let's pass to the next one, and then I will fully answer to this question. I mean, at least I will. Okay. Okay, in which case it will be determined. Okay. So co-fund could also be ERANET and others, in which case it will be determined at the level of the funding directly received. I mean, okay. So if they are first level, okay, no problem. Otherwise, depends case by case. So my suggestion would be drop us an email with your specific case, and we will check with the Commission if your project is eligible or not. This, of course, applies to all of you, and not just to co-fund projects. Is there any service available, a training on how to plan at proposal stage for a good dissemination? Not under HRB. I'm sorry. We can support with the aim of maximizing the impact of the results which are achieved by ongoing or close projects. Therefore, we cannot cover preliminary phases, but it could be a good idea if you have an already closed project from the past to request the HRB services. We can work on that project, on those results, but in the meantime, you can take advantage of a new knowledge. As I say, the Horizon Results Booster is of course, mainly a learning experience, and therefore you can take advantage of that service delivery and put in practice in a new proposal. And to complement what I just said, answering the previous question, there is a training video on Funding and Tenders portal on dissemination and exploitation to see what will be evaluated at the proposal stage. So I encourage you to have a look there. And there are always a lot of valuable resources on the Commission portal and as well on the Horizon Results platform TV and website. So I encourage you to have a look. So is a release of a result data set to the public sphere with the GOK considered compatible with the requirement to protect the results? Okay. To be honest, I'm not sure that I fully got this question. If, I mean, are you requesting a consultancy on a specific case, or is this connected to one of the services? Because if this is a consultancy, my suggestion would be to request a go-to-market IPR support service where this question could be properly answered. If your idea is that there is something that you would like to disseminate and you don't know if this can be disseminated and properly protected at the same time, I think that again, I would send an email and you know, we can try to sort out the specific answer because this is it seems to be very specific and I'm not sure I got 100% the question, aim at least. Another relevant question, is there only one cutoff deadline per year? No. Call for applications is always open. You can submit your application to request HRB service at any given moment within the 7th of May 2024. And each application is evaluated as an individual application. So this means that there is not a competitive evaluation behind. So each application is evaluated as a standalone per se and approved or rejected as a standalone application. So please submit your applications at any given moment. We are ready to assess and then deliver the services. The duration of the service depends on the type of service. Key exploitable result concern. What are the overall maximum indicative estimates of duration of the services offered? Each service has a, I would say, preset duration, which usually could go from 1 month to 6 months, depending on the specific service. So no worries. I can tell you as well that we are pretty flexible. If there is the need to have more time for any reason, the project just need to get in touch with the service team and to agree on a different timing. Please bear in mind that we need to complete all the service delivery within the beginning of May 2024. And please be aware that even if at the application phase you picked a tentative period of time in which you would like to have services delivered, and then when the application is approved, you change your mind, and therefore you would like to postpone or to anticipate, no worries, you get in touch with the experts and you can agree a different service delivery timing. Is a Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship project eligible under the Horizon Results Booster? Marie Curie projects are eligible. Again, what determines is the original funding. When applying for a Module A and Module B, is it correct that we need to complete them in 6 months and then for the Module C, we initiate this module at later stages? Okay, Module A and Module B have a different duration in terms of delivery. Usually Module A it's 1 month, Module B it's longer, depending much on the capacity building courses that you are going to pick. So you need to complete them in 6 months, yes and no. I mean, 6 months would be an ideal timing, but we understand that there are other things happening. It could take more, it could take less, and therefore this is flexible and needs to be agreed with the expert. And then for Module C, not necessarily at later stages, as I was already explaining, Module A and Module C could be run in parallel, but please bear in mind that you will need to iterate with 2 different service teams and in parallel, and therefore you need to be in the position to devote the right timing to both the services. Are only Horizon projects eligible? Yes, I mean FP7, H2020, Horizon Europe directly funded, so the ones who sign a grant agreement with the Commission, or indirectly through the initiatives like the EIT Knowledge Innovation Communities and the joint undertakings. Can ERC proof of concept grantees use the HRB to cover the market-oriented task of the project, market analysis, business planning. Okay, those topics can be tackled during the service delivery. Of course, you need to request, in this case, exploitation, business plan, or go-to-market services. And yes, you can tackle those topics. Please, as usual, bear in mind, experts will guide you through the different processes, but then the one that should act are project partners or beneficiaries, I mean. Are these visual outputs at an additional charge to the service? No, the outputs which were presented, so the visual identities for the project group, and the video appeals which are created, the different materials, they are included in the service delivery, so free of charge. Can the HRB help in the evaluation correction of the communication dissemination plans of projects starting in the next couple of months? The dissemination services have, as an aim to support joint dissemination activities. Therefore, this is not actually in the scope of the services to evaluate or correct individual communication and dissemination plans. And therefore, it's not timing is of course an issue because you need to have your project started, but please do not think that the experts appointed for the dissemination service will revise your own individual communication dissemination plan. Okay, I see that we are already beyond the scheduled time, so I would answer just 5 minutes more of questions, and then you will find all the answers in written in the event page. Would you always need, who is the audience for the capacity building courses? Is it limited to the researchers of the consortium, or can support staff from the entities also attend? As it is for the service delivery, of course, for us, the evaluation is at the project level, and therefore it's up to the applicant to involve colleagues and partners, and therefore, even in the capacity building courses, other colleagues from other departments or areas could be involved. Would you always need to report HRB activities by deliverables? Are they public deliverables? Not sure if I fully got, but I can tell you that the final report of each service delivered is not any case. I mean, this is sent to, of course, the beneficiaries and the PO, so the commission, but this is not a public deliverable. This is something which stays within the experts, the commission, of course, the concerned PO, and the beneficiaries. And therefore, the use that you would like to make of the outputs of each service delivery is up to you. In my experience, I can tell you that the contents are usually from the final reports are used to feed project deliverables. But then it's up to you to decide what to transfer there and to which extent to use what has been produced during the HRB service delivery. It is mandatory to complete the training and service 1. If you again refer to the capacity building courses, I mean, this is part of the service delivery, not all the projects which are part of the project group and therefore the partners and then the people involved in the service delivery have to. But this is part of the service delivery. So it's not mandatory, but it's part of the service delivery. If you are not interested in that part, or for any reason you would like to quit earlier than coming to an end, please let the experts know. I would say last one, so we are already 10 minutes behind the schedule. So what is the best moment to apply to this service once you have the dissemination exploitation results, if I have to guess, considering the acronym, at the end of the project or earlier. The sooner, the better. As soon as you feel that a support from an external expert will boost your dissemination and exploitation and go-to-market activities, request DHRB support. And then in the introductory call with the experts, you may decide to postpone or to benefit in that specific moment, but I would suggest to request the services as soon as possible and then to agree with the experts, considering, of course, what you need to achieve in your project and when. So I think that we can now wrap up for this session. As I said, all the questions will be answered in written, and therefore you will find them in the Slido section in the event page. The recording will be posted there, and the video will be always available on the YouTube channel of the European Commission. All the PowerPoints and slides have been already uploaded, and therefore you can already access them and refer to them in another moment. If you have any doubt, please do not hesitate to contact us at the functional mailbox. You can find a lot of questions and answers already on the HRB website, videos, materials, and even better, success stories coming from projects under different topics and different funding schemes, reporting from all over Europe, how they manage to take benefit from the HRB services. We are willing to, support you, therefore submit your applications. And as I said, any doubt that you have, please just let us know, and we will, provide you a feedback, clarify, or have a meeting to better understand and clear everything. Remember, 7th of May 2024 as the deadline to gather the last applications, but there is still 1 year time, so don't be shy and submit your application. Thank you very much to all the experts, the testimonial, of course, the European Commission for providing the initiative and for organizing this event, and all the team which is, in the background supporting the event. And see you soon, hopefully.